back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you all my December Daily 2022 story number 2. So right here you're seeing a little foundation page I made a year ago for my last year's album, and I really loved the way it turned out, but I didn't end up finding a spot for it in my album. So I hung on to it. It won't work in my album this year, but I love the design concept, so I wanted to just take that design and blow it up for the 10 by 8. So it's basically like a little bunted flag banner, and I'm going to use 3 photos as the foundations for my tags, and I will add a little bit of, pizzazz from there. So I'm starting off with one of the Ali Edwards December Daily Designs pattern papers. This was from the additional pattern paper pack. It just says all kinds of fun words all over in green. And I've decided that my order is going to be, it's a photo of my boyfriend Steven, and then it's a photo of my mom, and then it's a photo of me. And I guess I should say the story is about us decorating the tree. So I took photos of my mom and my boyfriend, and then my boyfriend took a photo of me to try and make sure I was also included in the documentation. And I wanted to incorporate some different textures. So I found this gold star vellum that I wanted to put over my mom's photo so I could add some decoration on top of that. So all I did was take some copy paper, like standard copy paper, and I cut a little flap. You see me working on it right now to make a hinge so that I can flip the vellum up and see the photo underneath. And then I also pulled aside one of those canvas word strips that Ali came out with this year. She did the same thing last year, but they were black, printed with black words, and this year they have red. That was by far my favorite thing from last year's collection, and I'm super excited to have them again. So I arranged the photos where Steven is facing in and I'm facing the opposite way, so we're kind of both looking inward. And I think from a design perspective, that's a very small detail, but those are the kinds of things that can kind of just push your layout to the next level for me. We're both looking into the design, which I think works in a functional flow sort of a way. This layout ended up taking me about 50 minutes in real time to complete. Obviously, I sped it up double speed for you guys, but I cut it down a lot. So it's a little bit less than 15 minutes, I think. And that's because I spent so much time putting down adhesive. I've been using score tape a lot. And also this this specific flip, I started off by using the vellum and folding it to create a hinge, but then the vellum cracked and I had to start over. And I didn't want the white to show of my hinge. So there was a lot of small detail workshopping that I had to do behind the scenes, and it was just, I also find that when I start running into issues in a scrapbook layout, I go into damage control mode and I'm trying to figure out the solution, and I forget I'm recording and I pull things off screen. So out of the frame, I pull them lower down on my desk, and so much of what I was doing was out of the frame. But it was also pretty uninteresting, so I don't think you guys are really missing out on much. But I've got that vellum flip all figured out, and then I want to cover up the white of the hinge, so I'm going to use some washi tape. So I picked out this red and green plaid, and then I will also add washi tape to the inside of the flip so that that white paper is covered. Now this is my story number 2, but this actually took place on December 4th. I am working in my December Daily album all after the fact just because I don't print my photos at home. I order them to be printed, and this is the one project a year where I really wish I could print at home. Otherwise, throughout the year and throughout my other projects, doesn't bother me. But with December Daily being super crafty and very involved, and also just something where it's in the moment I want to be doing it, I get a little frustrated. But each year that I've done December Daily, I've gotten a little bit better at figuring out what works for me with having to order my photos ahead. So this story is story number 2, like I was trying to say. But it's done on December 4th, and that's because I'm working after the fact. So I'm just putting them in order of what makes sense to me rather than what happened in time necessarily. So for my photo, I've picked out 2 pattern papers. One is this dark green with gold foil kind of starbursties, and the other is a red and white stripe. I thought they both worked well with what I've already done. And the photo of my boyfriend is going to stay flat down to the page, and the photo of me is going to be another flip up, but my photo itself is going to flip up, and underneath I'm going to add journaling. But I kind of am just jumping around throughout each section of this page. So right now I'm back on the photo of Steven, and I've picked one of those fabric word strips. Like I said, it says "Let's Be Merry," and I'm just adding some double-sided adhesive to that, and I'm going to stitch a little bit of red embroidery floss through it. So I would love to know, is your family the type that decorates before holidays? Like, do you guys decorate before Thanksgiving? Do you decorate right after Thanksgiving? Do you decorate December 1st or later? I think I always felt like decorating before Thanksgiving was sacrilegious because I'm a big Thanksgiving fan. But I've realized that if you don't decorate right after Thanksgiving or before Thanksgiving, you spend all this time and energy decorating in December, and then you have to like take it down so soon after. So we did have every intention to get our decorations up right at the beginning of December, like the day before December or right after Thanksgiving, but then everyone's schedules just weren't aligning, and we kept saying tomorrow, 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 and finally on December 4th, which I guess isn't that late, but I feel like just because there's only like 25 days in December before it's Christmas, it felt like we were late. So I was very excited to get this up, and that's definitely what I end up writing about in my journaling. But, you know, it is what it is. It all worked out okay, and we definitely had plenty of time to enjoy the decorations. But I think next year I'm going to try and remember this and plan a little bit ahead to start a little bit sooner. But back to what I'm actually doing, I'm still stitching through my little, what is it called? Canvas phrase strip. And I end up doing like a couple of stitches rather than just one simple stitch, just because I thought, you know, more is more. And I'm planning on putting my number 2 onto the middle photo with the vellum. I think I already said that. And I may have even already put it down for like an audition, I suppose. But I just cut the number 2 out of sparkly paper that I had, some like little random sparkly not contact paper, what? Cardstock. And I have a set of number dies that I use. So I did this actually a really long time ago. I was randomly in my stash. Sometimes when I'm cleaning my scrap desk, I get ideas and I get distracted from cleaning and start like making stuff. So I found my number dies that I hadn't seen in a while, and I was like, you know what I should do is cut a bunch of these out for December Daily. So it probably wasn't what I needed to do in the moment, but now it's pretty cool because they're already cut out. So I cut them out of gold and red. So I have a gold one and a red one in every number pretty much. So yeah, now I'm just taking the backing off all the score tape I already adhered to the back of each of the photos so I can go ahead and start sticking them down. And I actually do get pretty technical with this, you know, trying to make things look good. I find that the simpler the layout, the more difficult it can be. I think I've already said this before, but this layout idea, for example, felt so simple. I knew what I needed to do before even starting, but somehow it took me almost an hour because, you know, all these simple ideas end up being a lot more complicated than I would think. And also, when it's simple, if there's anything like crooked or misplaced, it sticks out like a sore thumb. Whereas if you go for kind of like a jumble of things and more of like a maximalist approach, little mess ups here and there get distracted by the other stuff going on. So, getting this all lined up, I wanted to try and get that first photo down as centered as possible. And then I wanted my little kind of curve of my bunting aesthetic type thing to be even and nice and smooth. So, I did that. I will say, if I would have done this over again, I would have put each photo further apart because I end up putting little gold brads. They're little golden star brads from Michaels, and I used them in my original example as well. I put them too close together so the brad holds the flip up from being able to flip up easily. It still works, it's not perfect, but you know, I didn't want to redo it all. So I just dealt with it. But here I am punching my little holes, and the star brads look super cute. It's just a little tricky to flip, but you know, we make it work. We're gonna have to deal. So, story number 2, and I'm already messing stuff up, but you know, that's how it goes sometimes. That's how it goes for me at least. But that's okay. So, this is pretty much what it ends up looking like. I fuss around a little bit more. I do feel like it needs something above or below where the bunting is. There's a little bit of like emptiness to it, but I wasn't sure what to do. I was at first thinking of adding some sort of a title like decorating the tree or something, but with the background paper being all word text based, it's like busy while also being empty. So I feel like the background paper is very busy, but the spread itself is very simple. So if you guys have any ideas of what I can add, I would love suggestions. I just don't know what I would do. It just feels a little bit plain. But I look back at my album from last year, and obviously I love so much of it, but there are definitely some things that I felt were like too busy, like so busy that it sort of just took away or became distracting. So this year I was trying to tell myself to keep it a little more simple, like do as much as I want, get crazy, but don't feel like every single page needs to be crazy because it ends up just being like a jumbled up mess. For me, at least, I get, ahead of myself and make a jumbled up mess. So, I think I'm just a little bit uncomfortable still trying to work in this more simplistic manner. So, we're figuring it out together. But I am going to take my date stamp and stamp the date. It doesn't bother me that my story number doesn't line up with the date that the things are happening on, but I still do like to know the date that things did happen. So it could be story number 2, but I want to know that it happened on December 4th. So I go ahead and add that. I don't add the journaling in now, but I add it later, just talking about decorating, how excited I was, and that it was a little last minute. But that is pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoy, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.